What do you think this 2% has and 98% don't have? They have either a whole bunch of money in the bank, because remember, they stopped working, so they have to have enough money to keep paying themselves what they were paying before, or they have some sort of an income that continues to pay them after. Now, I've spoken in a lot of rooms, and when I've got like 100 people in the room, I say basically that means 2 people in this whole room are going to actually be able to retire at 65. And I know everybody, that means like 1 person in this room. And I know everybody thinks, well, man, that sucks for everybody else, but the truth is, it's probably you. And, but no one thinks that they're going to be in this, right? I mean, everybody thinks, well, I'm going to be over here somehow, in some way. I don't know why, I don't know how, you know, but we tell ourselves this and it doesn't happen. And for whatever reason, I didn't delude myself. I knew that what else could I do? Now, I knew I could go out and make money and have a living and everything like that, but I just kept thinking, man, I want to be one of this. Like, I could see myself falling in to this category right here. And so I thought, well, what if it took me 20 years? It's better than doing it for 40 years. And that was kind of the mindset that I had, was to do network marketing. What they said, well, just to finish this real quick, they said there's another plan in which you can work for 3 to 5 or 10 years, 10, 20, 40, I mean, basically you choose how much you want to work. It just depends on how far you want to go with it, right? How much money you want to make. To get a residual income. So residual income, one that can come in and keep paying you week after week, year after year, you know, for the rest of your life. And it could be a 5-figure, 6-figure, or even 7-figure income. And there are some people that have 8-figure residual incomes in network marketing, if you can believe that. So over $1 million on a monthly basis. And I thought, well, you know, this is what I want to do. And so I did have belief. I was hooked on it. The idea of it did make me happy, all those things, but truly it was more, I looked at it as, what other choice did I have to get where I now had decided that I wanted to get? Because at that point, the one thing I can say positive about that company was that they did a very good job of getting you dreaming of things you wouldn't normally dream of. You know, I would have never normally dreamed of, you know, living this way or traveling the world or doing these different things, because we're not really taught that so much. You know, we're kind of taught that this is the best you're going to get. And so I kind of had started getting that mindset, and it's important. You know, that's an important piece of my whole story and everything, was having that mindset. So fortunately, it didn't take me 20 years. Not a lot of people knew what I was involved with back then. They mostly just kind of felt sorry for me. And my family especially, because they didn't know if I was in something legal or illegal, or they didn't know what it was. And like I said, this is in the 90s, you know, this is 1993. So 1995, now I was 19 years old. I got involved doing this 21 years ago. And my brother, he just come back off of a mission down in Louisiana. And so we were down there, and he kind of heard what I was doing and everything like that. And fortunately, he ended up meeting this guy, and he comes to me one day and he's like, Bryan, look, I met this guy, and you know, I think he does what you do, but I think it's a little different because he actually makes money. And I was like, oh, it's awesome, let's go talk to him. He's like, yeah, you just need to talk to this guy. So anyway, I ended up meeting this guy, Barry Apple. Came into a room, it was less than this. They weren't playing Eye the Tiger, it wasn't 500 people there, and it was the first time I ever heard someone talk about this like a real profession. Barry was very methodical. It wasn't a lot of hype, you know, it was more kind of like, talked about systems and that you could do this as a profession, and I don't know, it just resonated with me a lot. And they were starting a new company. So I talked to him afterwards, and he was like, he said, look, you're in a good company, but you're not necessarily a good way to make money. He's like, you're 20 years too late. You have to get in the right company, the right timing. He's like, who's teaching you? I was like, well, my friend Mike. You know, and what's Mike done? He's like, well, nothing. He's 16. You know, I had money. He was like, I guess 18. And I was like, we haven't made no money. And he's learned from his parents, and they haven't made no money. And he's like, you have to get the right team, the right mentorship, you know, all these different things. And he said a lot of things that didn't really even make sense to me until years and years later. It's free to get involved, and to qualify yourself, it's $100 or so. Treat it like you put $1 million. We used to joke, well, man, I wish they would charge $10,000 to jump. I sometimes wish that, because if somebody put in $10,000, they're going to take it a lot more serious. But you know, a lot of people, they look at it like, well, I got my lottery ticket. Right? Oh, my lottery ticket, and just go for it. So certain things, let people know from the beginning. And I call this commitments. I have this thing that I did called the 10 steps, and one of the steps is setting up commitments with people whenever they get started. Set up expectations. When has the truth become not enough? Why is it that people are afraid to tell people there's going to be some work? You're going to have to show up at some meetings. You're going to have to get on some calls. You're going to have to go to some events. Oh, well, I'm out there. It's like, okay, if that's going to get you out, then let them get out. Don't let them start it. Now, if they want to be a customer, that's one thing. But there's commitments to doing this. Let people know in the beginning, hey, you want to be successful? Absolutely. I mean, how many times I sat down with people like, man, I want this and I want this house, and tears in their eyes, and talking about their kids and changing their life, and this, and on and on and on. And the minute I say, okay, hey, we got a 30-minute weekly call. Oh, 30-minute call. Whoa, I don't know. I got to, this, and it's like, what? You know, you go to a meeting, like, you have a training once a month. Oh, well, I'm busy once a month for that training. You know what I mean? It's like, people are almost afraid to tell people. You don't want to tell them. Oh, it's easy. You don't have to do anything. You just somehow make money. I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but this is important. Let people know from the beginning what they're getting into. Set the correct expectations. Hey, you're going to have an auto show. Commit to it for the next 5 years or until it gets done. And here's the things that's going to happen. Here's how we're going to build it. You do that, there's a lot less chance of them just treating it like a hobby and it falling off. If you can start off right, it's going to help you tremendously. So first is mindset getting started. I have a theory. And my theory is I believe that I know why people don't succeed in this business. At least the number one reason why people fail in network marketing. You might take a guess why that is.
Don't show up.
Don't show up. Mindset.
They don't believe in themselves.
Don't believe in themselves.
Fear.
Not consistent.
So, those are all reasons, and very important reasons why people fail. My opinion, the simple fact, and I'm not talking about someone who joins and never shows up to anything. Okay? That's not possible for them to even succeed. I'm talking about someone who actually starts to work the business, goes for it, tries to go for it, tries to make it happen. My opinion is that we fundamentally do not understand geometric progression. We don't understand how this business works. If you've never done it before, you don't understand how it grows. So you have no basis to look at where you are and make a rational judgment of if you're doing good or you're doing not, if it's not going good for you. You see, what's hard for people to understand, we're used to linear, okay? So I tell you, hey, make a 6-figure income, you need, roughly 600, 800 active distributors in your team, structured right, type of thing, and people are going to fall and everything like that. And so all people know is they've been working for 14 months, and they've got 27 people, and they had about 40 or 50 or 60, but they've all dropped out, and they got like 27 left, and they're thinking, okay, well, it's been 14 months to get 27, so at this rate, it's going to take me 143 years to get to a 6-figure income, right? And that's a thought process. People have a perception of where they think they should be based on the work that they've done. That's it. They feel like I should be further than where I am because of the work that I've done so far. And I think ultimately that's why people quit. Because they just can't see how they're going to get to their goal because they're doing math 1 + 1 + 1. They're still thinking of, okay, I've done all this work, I'm only here, I can't see how I could ever get to this point over here. And it starts to play with your mind. And I think ultimately it causes people to take a break or things like that and work on other things that are maybe paying them more right now. But what's hard for people to understand, because I've seen it over and over again, a professional network marketer doesn't think that way. We don't know how it's going to grow. We don't know when the explosion is going to come. We don't know where the people are going to come from, but we understand that if you do a certain steps and certain actions, it ultimately goes there. And what people don't understand is it can take 14 months to get to 27. 4 months later, you could have 500. 4 months after that, you could have 5,000. Because your business starts to move faster as it gets bigger, exponentially moves faster. In the beginning, I call it, I don't know if it's a good name or not, I don't want to scare you all, but I call it the pain period when someone gets started. Because in the pain period, whenever you're first getting started, this is a business that works off of duplication. It moves faster as you get more. So if I'm working 40 hours a week, and I'm by myself, and I'm working 40 hours a week, this week, next week, and I double my business this month, that means I sign up one. And we do it again next month, and both of us are working, and we double our business. Well, now we got 4 people in the thing. And we double our business again next month, and we got 8. And guess what? One of them already dropped out. And now we're like, okay, I've been doing this for 3 months, 40 hours a week, I got 7 people now. It's going to take me 300 years to get to the ground level. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way people think. And even again the next month, the next month, the next month. I mean, it takes time to get that. But what starts to happen is when you've got 100 people, well, you do the same work. If your business doubles, 100 more people, everybody got in one, you brought in 100 more people. What happens when you have 500 people in your team? You're still doing the same work. You're putting in the exact same time and effort as when you got your first person. But yet, 200 or 300 people may join in a month. Your work hasn't changed. My organization, which y'all are part of it, and this company, is averaging about between 400,000 and 500,000 volume increase every month. So that means, take into account dropout, I'm increasing about 5,000 or 6,000 new people a month, every month in the business. And you figure there's some that are dropping out. So 7,000 or 8,000 are probably joining a month. And guess what? That's whether I put anyone in or not. The same effort that I did when a couple people are joining is the same effort that I'm doing now, but that many more people are joining. And if people could wrap their mind around that, but I just don't think that we normally are really kind of geared to wrap our mind around those things. But that's where it becomes more important. Don't focus on where you're not, because you can't comprehend how this thing grows unless you built it before. Just know that it ultimately will get there. Once you get past that hump, where your business starts to move, where more people are joining than dropping out, and these bases are sticking and everything like that, it'll move faster. And that's when it becomes exciting. And that's when people are like, now I see why I'm doing this network marketing thing. And that's pretty the exciting part. So, we don't understand geometric progression. We don't understand how this builds. So how do you stop this? Because even me telling you right now is still not going to solve it for you. I promise you. You're still going to look at it, someone in this room or multiple people, in a month or two, and like, yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just not growing the way I thought it would. It's just not getting fat. I mean, you're still going to do it. I'm telling you. I know it. I've just been doing this for too many years. I've seen it over and over again. So I had to figure out a way for you not to think about that. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare yourself to someone else. Don't compare yourself with the idea of where you feel like you should be based on the work that you've done. Because that means that you made a decision, you're not all in or not. Your decision is, well, I'm going to kind of do this until I see the results, and then maybe I'll keep going. That's not what a professional does. I get in, and it's like, I'm building it. And obviously 10 years, or it's going to be 20 years, or it's going to be 2 years. But you're building it. So something that I had to do and start teaching over the years was focus on short-term goals. And another way to put it would be focus on the work and the actions, not focus on where you're not. Not focus on where is the result. Now, you have to do that a little bit. I mean, you want to know the result. But, so, if there's a secret to network marketing that I've learned over the years, it's, there's a saying, like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. What does that mean? It means if you walk up, you're like, I'm not hungry enough to eat this elephant. It's just not going to happen. So if you start eating, you're like, oh my gosh. But what if you just do one bite at a time? One bite at a time, one bite at a time. It doesn't matter how long it takes, you're going to eventually get it. If your goal is to eat the elephant, you know what? Maybe it's going to take you longer than someone else because you don't eat as much. Whatever. The same thing we can do in this. Short-term weekly goals. Short-term goals. Setting goals. Goals based around actions. If you ask me, somebody said, Bryan, what is it that you're so good at in network marketing? Because if you get someone on me pretty well, you might start scratching your head and saying, how is it that Bryan grows these businesses so big? Because I do a lot of things not so good. Okay? I'm not the most organized and a lot of other stuff. But what I'm very, very good at is I'm very consistent at doing the money-making actions in this business. Become consistent with the money-making actions. And what are the money-making actions? Okay, now I'm consistent with everything. We're going to talk about consistency. But the money-making actions. So I'm prospecting. All prospecting means is you're trying to see if somebody wants to be a customer or a distributor. How do you do that? You pique their interest a little bit. I know they're going to probably talk about this. And you have them sit down and see it. And for me, I don't care if they get in or they don't get in. Of course, I want them all to get in, but it's whatever. It's not going to happen. More, I just want people to sit down. I'm doing three-way calls with my people. I'm doing bigger meetings with people. Those are the money-making actions of the business. Now, I'm also showing up, I'm doing the trainings, I'm reading the right books, I'm doing all those things too. But I'm very consistent at what grows the business. And I know that if you just keep doing that, I call it my robot mode, something I thought of years ago, which means that I'm not worried about where I'm not. Because even myself, I would start going crazy if I started thinking, how did this guy get to this ranking? I mean, how does this, you just can't do that. You have to learn it a long time ago. Step by step. So if you set weekly goals, that means that I'm just taking this week and I'm going to do the best that I can this week. And the good thing about that is if you don't, what starts to happen is people set crazy goals because they feel like they want to make up for lost time. You all ever experienced this before? Somebody hasn't done anything for months and they're like, man, I come back in and I'm going Founder 7 this month. It's like, why do I got to be the one to tell you you're not going to go Founder 7? You know? Like the first conversation me and Peyton had, I see him laughing back there. They have this rank called Black Diamond, and it's 1 million in personal volume a month. Okay? 1 million in personal volume a month is a lot of volume to do in a month. And I think he's like, I'm going to go like in 6 months or something like that. You know, and I was like, oh, you're not going to do that. What? You know, because I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. Yeah, go for it. You're going to do it. It's like, I'm not going to lie to you. You're not going to do it. Maybe 6 years or 2 or 3 years. I mean, we're not even to that point yet. Like, set a goal right here. So I set short-term goals. Hey, what can I do this week? And I set it around action. I set it around things that I'm doing the business. So I set it around three-way calls for my people. I set it around sit-down meetings for myself, personals. I set it around prospecting for myself. I set it around things that are moving the business forward. And I'll also do things like making sure I'm at meetings and everything like that, but I'm telling you, look, you get excited because, hey, I accomplished it this week. I won. I succeeded. You're not seeing where you're failing or where you're not. You're seeing where you're succeeding. So, third, correctly, consistently, and long enough. If I had to say what my philosophy was in this industry, this would be my philosophy. Right here. I call it the golden rules. And this is just what I've seen across the board. And I'm talking about, and not even as good at companies as we have at Blake right now. I'm talking about even not that good at companies. This works every time. If you do this business correctly, okay, so you have the correct actions. What are the correct actions? Everything I was talking about, everything they're going to talk about. There's a set of correct actions. if you're doing those correctly, and you're doing this business correctly, don't reinvent the wheel. I got a guy right now, just at founder 4, he should be founder 6. And the conversation I had with him yesterday was, remember when I told you what you were doing wrong before in your team and doing some of these different things, and I don't know all the stuff, but he's like, yeah. I said, that's why you're not where you are, because yeah, you're having success, but y'all are still trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, there's already a way to do this. Do the correct actions. This, I could do a 2-hour training on consistency. This is where people fail. This right here, this action, and somebody named it before, this is the action that makes people fail. I don't know that we are programmed to be consistent. I believe that this is a learned skill that you have to have. And I think that most people don't ever learn it. One of the things that I always tell people is, I look for people that are already successful at something. I don't care if they're successful at working out, or a musical instrument, or school, or a business, or even a job, or something. Something that took them a lot of consistent effort and work in order to get there. Because it's a sports, it's a learned skill. And you find that a lot of people just don't have it. I mean, they absolutely don't have it. So what happens is they substitute consistency for kind of a lottery mentality. By lottery mentality, it means that they're willing to do some work if they can get the results quick. So like, I'll do it if I'll be rich in 3 or 4 or 5 months. It's like, if you, I'll give an example. So I used to be a magician, do magic, and I thought I'd be rich with it someday, which never happened. But, and I learned, and I would practice, and I go to these meetings, and I was reading out the books, and I got to be pretty good at like sleight of hand and card tricks and coin tricks and everything like that. And I even worked for a little while I was doing the Amway thing in a Holiday Inn in the lounge area, and I did parties and different things. And so my friends, I was learning some really cool stuff. And it never failed if I show somebody a trick, and it even happens right now. If I show somebody a trick, the very first thing they say is, "Oh, man, how'd you do that?" Right? And I know it's a knee-jerk reaction. And so, you say, "Oh, a magician never tells their secrets," or whatever. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, man." But sometimes, friends of mine were very persistent. "No, Bryan, look, man, how did you learn it?" Like, so they're asking, like, "Did you really want to learn how to do this?" "Oh, man, absolutely. And so a few times I said, "Okay, oh, great, well, here's what I'll do." I said, so I'll tell them a couple basics, and I say, basically, to get to this point, you have to start learning these different sleights, and here's the books that you can start learning that. And it took me X amount of months practicing in front of the mirror, and nobody see what I'm doing, and everything like that. And as I start going into this, there's like a glazed look that starts coming on their face, right? And one person ever actually took the time to learn magic out of all the people that I've ever done it. Why? Because they wanted the result without doing the work. They wanted to go to their friends and their party and make them have the same feeling of awe that they just had. It's like, I want to learn how, I was impressed because Peyton actually learned how to play the guitar. So when I was young, I wanted to learn how to play guitar. I had a friend that played guitar. I thought it was so cool. Girls would be around him. He's playing guitar, and I was like, that's going to be me, And got a guitar. I even started to get some lessons. And after a little bit, I started realizing, okay, this is going to take me a really long time to get as good as him. Like, maybe never, type of thing. And it wasn't important enough to me to continue to do it. I was doing sports and other things. But the point is, people sometimes approach this business the same way, as a lottery. You want the result, but you're not willing to do the actions, the consistent actions to get there. I watched people literally practice every single day, learning how to do it. I play basketball. I mean, the amount of time and practice that I put into basketball, I'm a professional foosball player. There's all kinds of other things like that I've done over the years, magic, and I've learned how to be very, very consistent at things. And you're just not going to get there without it. I'm telling y'all, don't be the guy that does 3-day massive action plans. You don't do anything, you're like, I'm crushing it for the next 3 days, and expect that somehow it's going to be there and work for you. Apply this all together. Consistently do the work. Doesn't mean you got to be full-time. If you're a 5-hour-a-week person, then do it 5 hours a week. It may take you longer to get there, but that's okay. Not a race. Guess what? It's not like there's only a few people can finish, and then that's it. No one else can get there. Everybody can finish. Everybody can be a global executive if they want. Doesn't matter. There's plenty of rooms, plenty of people. It's just your time frame of getting there. And the last magic is long enough. This is self-explanatory, but it's so true. I don't put a time frame on my success. I don't know why people put a time frame on their dreams and their hopes. When I see people that do that, the same thing, I want to help my family in this, and give my kids a better life in this, and 30 days later, 60 days later, 120 days later, they're out the business. I'm like, so that was it? Your time frame on your dreams was 120 days? It just wasn't like that for me. Last, take ownership. Take ownership of your business. Be a leader. It's very difficult to not perform at something and take personal accountability that you have not succeeded. It's very difficult. Very few people can do it. I think it's against our nature, probably. I don't know. Network marketing shows you some bizarre truths about the human race. I do this business literally all over the world. All over the world. From India to Asia to Southeast Asia to South America. And everywhere in between. And what's really crazy is you find people have the same inherent flaws. And one of them is taking ownership. It's much easier to say, well, my upline didn't build this for me, or they misled me, or there wasn't enough training, or there wasn't this, or my wife, or my husband, or the state, or I don't even know, like people, whatever, it's all the same thing. It's putting blame on somewhere else for your failure. And I know when I join into a company, nobody's putting somebody under me. Okay? So I join into, I already know what happens when I join. They put 50 people above me, because they know I'm going to build. So you're not going to get support. If it's going to happen, it's going to be up to me. That's the reality. Here's the thing. No one cares as much about your business as you should. I mean, I have people in my team, and my team is like family that, I love. Even family members, I love them, and I want their business to succeed. But I can't care about it as much as I do my own. It's just not possible. I can't care about it as much as they should, because it's still their business. And you can't want it for someone more than they want it for themselves. So at some point, you have to take ownership. Guess what? Yes, you got put in the business, and your upline said they were going to build it for you, and they didn't. Welcome to network marketing. So now what? You got involved, and things aren't the way you thought that they were. So what? Now what? Oh, it's going to take you longer than you thought, and your friends don't like it, or whatever, the 1,000 other things that's going to happen. Okay, so give up or what? Like, move forward. It happens all the time. People get involved, and they overcome, and they build it or not. They want it or they don't. And at some point, it's you. My mentor used to say, Bryan, if you fail at this business, it's your fault. If you succeed at this business, it's your fault. Period. It all stops and ends with you. You don't have support? Find it. You can find the materials. You can find the trainings. We're in a great situation because you'll have an unbelievable team, and we have momentum and all this other stuff, but you still see people do it. Take ownership. It means you're responsible for this. At some point, you've got to be the one to get yourself to a meeting. It can't always be your upline calling you, hey man, you're going to be at the meeting. Oh, is that again? Yeah, it's been the same week every week for the last 3 years. Times I've had that conversation, like, you in the call? Oh, yeah, checking that again? Yeah, that's 30 times I've told you it's every week. And what is that? There's no ownership. Do it for them. You know, do it for me. And then guess what? It's your fault when they don't do it, right? Take ownership. This can get you whatever you want. I'm telling you, look, this business can get you anything that you want, but you got to own it. And I put this right here in parentheses, be a leader. There's a lot of talk on leadership. I have an opinion of what being a leader is. A leader is not the manager. I'm not in charge of y'all. Y'all are not my employees. I'm not a leader because I happen to be above you in the business. It has nothing to do with that. A leader is someone who does the most correct actions, the most consistent. They set the example. That's what a leader is. A leader leads. This is a business of duplication. People are going to duplicate the things that you do, the good and the bad. And unfortunately, they duplicate the bad usually before the good. So the more correct things you do, the better. That's what being a leader means. A leader is the one who's doing it right, who's showing up, who's making the calls, who's doing the things. You're doing the things you want your team to do. If you do that, that can lead to phenomenal success. Wrapping up, this company, in all the years I've been involved in network marketing, it finally feels like this is what network marketing is supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to bring someone into the business and help them have some real success and not take you 6 months or 2 years or something like that. And we can do that here because of the compensation plan. We have a company that the barrier of entry is not so big that, you know what, if you don't get in for the $2,000 package, you lose all the advantages. And so you just lose a lot of people. You're at a disadvantage because you can't afford it. We don't have that out here. We have so many things going for us with this business. If you've never done network marketing before, you don't even know. And it's a reason why this would be the #1 company in the world, because of the way that it's working, because of how they're putting things into it. And our business is exploding. You know, our team is over 2 million volume now. We just had a guy, Juan Carlos, 10 months ago, I guess 11 months ago, we were giving him, me and Jeremy Jenkins, $500 each a month to help him get around Mexico. Because he's like, I can either go get a job, because he came with us when we came over here, I can go get a job, or if y'all can help me out, I'll build this thing. So, not last month, the month before, we get Diamond. $60-some thousand a month in Mexico. This last month, we're still waiting for it all to calculate, so we hit Diamond. It looks like we hit Global Executive. So we'll know, and I'm sure the company will make a big announcement whenever they do. So that's $115,000 a month in basically 10 months, 11 months. We did that. There's another kid, #2 guy in Mexico. He's an emerald. Vicente, my same rank, 21 years old. 11 months ago, he was making $80 a week working at Subway in Mexico. I just seen his new profile picture. It's like in a white shirt and like a boat. That's like a big old watch and blue. I was just like, man, kid's going a long way. I think one of the coolest stories is in Mexico. It's a young kid. He comes from a very poor family. They make about $300 a month U.S. and they all live together in Peru. And he hit Founder 3, and they were blown away. You know, it's less money there. It's like 400 and something because they have taxes and other stuff. So it's more than what they make in a month as a family. And then he ended up hitting Founder 4, and when he did, his parents was telling him how much money he's going to get, and they were like, "They're not going to give you that. Don't get your hopes up. And the mom, it doesn't work like that. You know, they're going to give it, earn you." Of course, they got that, and they're freaking out. The next month, he hits Founder 5, which is close to $5,000 US. And you got to think, it's like 10 times over there. So that's like 50,000. I mean, that's crazy. And he's still doing that. He already hit Founder 6, and I have to ask Joe what he did. I believe he's already Founder 7 now. And so, you know, this business is changing people's lives. Changing people's lives in the United States. It's changing people's lives outside the United States. and it's going to continue to do that. Wherever you want to be, you can be. It might take you longer than other people. But even if you build it to 600 or 2,500 or whatever residual, what else can you do to go out and get a residual income that's going to continue to pay you like that? Not very much. So I hope that y'all learned some stuff here. I hope y'all take it seriously. We have an amazing team. Getting to work with Peyton, with Colby. It's just been phenomenal watching them become professional network marketers. And they're professionals. Everything that I'm telling you, they know. And I didn't make this stuff up. I mean, some of it is my spin on things, but I learned this from my mentor all these years ago, who was a professional network marketer. So anyway, that's it. Thank y'all so much. Have a good day.